New Amsterdam Vodka.
Indeed, ESPN Plus Hockey Night. Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Levy back in our studios. Great to be back with Mark Messier and Chris Chelios. You know the deal on ESPN Plus. A couple bucks a month, get a billion games roughly for the entire season. Seems to be a pretty good deal.
A billion.
Why am I already telling you? Because you're on ESPN Plus, therefore you already have it, and you know. The Avalanche are very pleased. They'll have Nathan MacKinnon back in the lineup, returning from being on that COVID list. What does he mean besides everything? The Avs.
Love this player. Electrifying player. Possesses all the horsepower in the world there. A ton of skill. Has so much plays with so much passion. It's going to be so interesting to see if he can drag his teammates into it and try to win a Stanley Cup, because I know he's eating hockey for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's all he's consumed with it, and just really excited to see him play again this year.
Yeah, that top line's going to be fun to watch with him back on it for sure. And then, you know, again, he's a power forward with that skill, you know, the speed. As a defenseman, that's pretty tough when you got a guy with that much skill and that much size.
And no Gabriel Landeskog. He remains out of the lineup for Colorado with a suspension. I mean, it's a star-studded group for the Avs, and I think that's why they're such a popular choice in the Western Conference. And then on the blue line, you look at Cale Makar. I mean, so young, but I feel like defensemen are jumping out of college and making an impact sooner in the NHL. Makar's only a few years removed, and he's going to be in Norris contention.
Yeah, the reason why this for college players, I went there. You got a little more time to develop. I know that.
7 years in college?
I wasn't much for the class, but on the ice it helps a ton when you're practicing 4 days a week. But what a great defenseman. Again, he's got the size. He got a little edge to him. He gets physical. You see, he's just a very skilled, sees up ice very well. Plays his good position for a young kid. He's this second year, him and Carlson were the top two scoring defensemen. But you see it there. He's just got a great vision of the game and makes good plays all over the ice in both ends. And obviously, he sees the ice. He knows where the puck's going before he gets it, and that shows you he's going to be a great one for a long time.
Yeah, he's got a ton to learn as a defenseman in the NHL. There, Scott Stevens says, you know, you got to give a guy 200 games, a young defenseman 200 games before he really matures. But you can see that one rush there. His horsepower is amazing. His instincts, as Chris said, are there. The shot's there, the vision's there. He's got everything there to be a Norris Trophy winner in this league at some point. And you don't win Stanley Cups without players like him on the back end.
The Avs might be the most entertaining team in the league, right? There's just so much fun. You mentioned horsepower. To me, they're exciting to watch. They fly up and down the ice, physical as well. Speaking of physical, the Washington Capitals, a lot of big bodies. And Alex Ovechkin, with all the talk about going after Gretz, he is still performing, off to a big start. There you see he's already fifth most on the all-time list, and he's got 3 goals to start the season.
He just keeps on keeping on. It's just amazing. He just stays healthy. He keeps shooting the puck. He keeps scoring. He looks and plays with the passion he did when he first came in the league, and it's remarkable, actually, to watch him play. And like I said, everybody knows it's coming on the power play, where he's standing. Nobody can
stop that.
But he's just so powerful of a player. Yeah. I mean, honestly, he's just so powerful that, like I said, he's going to be able to score for a long time, because he can still get into the paint and score from the inside, but he possesses that shot that's so lethal from the outside.
Yep. A lot of gray hair, too, by the way, on Ovi,
gray
right?
hair's okay.
A lot more gray than you got, Shelly.
I got a few more years on him, but, you know, it doesn't matter where he gets. If he finds a lane, those guys get him the puck, and that shot's so dangerous. He could be shooting 10 feet off the goal line from any angle, or 30 feet in the perfect spot. It doesn't matter. They get him the puck, and he's got that shot.
And the rest of the team, that's where Ovechkin separates himself, because he is such a physical player. The rest of the team is physical. They got a lot of size on that team.
Big bodies, and I didn't really realize Oshie's 6'2". You know, he throws his weight around. He's got a little bit of a mean to him, too. And then Ovi, if he's bored or frustrated, if he needs to get the team going, he's going to run someone over, too. So, and Carlson's a big body. And we don't have to talk Wilson. We know what
Where's
Wilson
the Tom Wilson comment?
Yeah, but for all the talk about the physical play against the Rangers in the opening game there, the Capitals played amazing.
And we are just about set to take you there. It's the Avalanche and the Caps. They're coming up on ESPN+. We'll see on ESPN. We've got hockey coming up a little bit as well there. The Islanders and the Blackhawks. But now, Bob Wischusen and Cassie Campbell-Pascal. Take it away. We'll see you in the intermission.
All right, Steve, thanks very much. And we are just about set to drop the puck here in Washington, D.C. The Colorado Avalanche and the Washington Capitals here at Capital One Arena. I am Bob Wischusen alongside Cassie Campbell-Pascal. And how about our goalie comparison for tonight? Ilya Samsonov gets the start for the Caps.
And his first start. And, you know, there's competition between him and Vanacek. And Vanacek kind of won it out of preseason. And so Samsonov just getting his first start. And then Darcy Kemper on the other side, his new team. A little inconsistent so far through preseason in the first 2 games as he's trying to find his game with his new team.
There's some pressure on Darcy Kemper. It's one thing to be on a below 500 team when there's not necessarily much expected. Now you get traded to a team that could very well go out there, win the President's Trophy, and be the #1 team overall as we head towards the postseason. So some self-imposed pressure perhaps for Darcy Kemper.
And a contract year to boot as well.
The opening lineup with Burakovsky, McKinnon, and Rantanen getting the start, opposed by the energy fourth line of Hagelin, Dowd, and Hathaway for the Caps. A turnover in the offensive zone, and Hathaway gave it away. Back the other way, it's a 2-on-1 across the line, moving in with a wrist shot, but softly has got it away. Not good wood on that one from Nick Dowd. Back the other way comes McKinnon across the line. Gives one up, and a backhander thrown towards the net by Burakovsky. Back to the point. Firing one from long range was Ryan Murray. That was easily steered aside by Samsonov.
You know, you look at Peter Laviolette starting that fourth line against the top line of Colorado, and that's really to insulate the young Connor McMichael who'd be on that third line. You probably don't want that matchup. You want to keep him away from Kuznetsov, your top line, and I think that's a smart coaching move to start this game.
Ovechkin went rink wide to Kuznetsov. He battles for a 2-on-3 behind the net. Tom Wilson in there as well, trying to dig it free, and does. Slides one back to the point. Here is the rookie, Martin Ferravari. He had it taken away, but it's recovered by Kuznetsov. Moves in, bypassed the backhander to throw one towards Ovechkin, who has it in the corner. And now it's swept free to center and gathered by Kuznetsov. He'll weave his way right back across the Colorado line. Trying to tee up the wrist shot. Hit the outside of the net with a second attempt. Side of the net. It's Ovechkin trying to shovel one through. Wrapping one around was Kuznetsov. That went through the goal mouth area. Kuznetsov has it back. Sweeps one to the point. Sprong's long shot was blocked. But the Caps still with pressure on the offensive zone. Justin Schultz at the left point. Pivots. Throws one towards the net. That's intercepted, though, by Ryan Murray. And that allows the Avalanche to send it all the way down where Van Riemsdyk will wrap it around.
Well, one thing about the Capitals forechecks is they're aggressive, always sending 2 guys.
Turnover. Throwing one towards the net was Darren Helm. And it's through center. Lars Eller across the line. Guides the puck to the corner, but has his pocket picked by Jack Johnson. Just underway, 2.5 minutes in. And a good pace so far between the Caps and the Avalanche, as you would expect. Lars Eller deep in the right wing corner. Plays one back to Nick Jensen. Throws one towards Eller. He tried to chop a deflection out of midair and missed. And now it's Jack Johnson to his partner Ryan Murray. Back through center, feathered deep. And it will be offsides by Colorado at the Washington line.
Well, Washington with some early chances so far in this hockey game. You can see that Kemper goes down there as Kuznetsov looks like he's going to shoot right about the hash marks. He fans on it, and Kemper just kind of loses his net. And at this point, as a goaltender, you're just battling. And that's it. He just clicks his post with his stick, clicks the other one with his glove, finds his net again, just calms himself down, and gets ready for the next face-off.
Actually an icing call, so that will bring the face-off all the way back down into the Colorado end. TJ Oshie and Connor Sheary out there with the youngster Connor McMichael, who sees his first action of the season for Washington, and it's icing once again.
The NHL's newest franchise.
The Kraken on the board. Score! Right place, right time. Release the Kraken!
Well, I get to enjoy a trip to Seattle. That's going to be some atmosphere. As the word was, they had to split their season ticket package in Seattle because there was such demand for the tickets. As Carlson throws one through traffic, and that whistles wide of Kemper. Behind the net, wrapped right back to Carlson at the right point. Left point now Ferravari. Tried to throw one to the half boards. And that's sent right back out to neutral ice. Just about turning it over was Carlson. Nearly had his pocket pick by Tyson Jost. And now it is a center ice turnover. Back the other way across the line for Rakowski. He battles in the corner. Carlson is there. Helped out by Connor McMichael. Eventually the puck freed up. Now Colorado has it in the offensive zone, and it's pitchforked right back out to neutralized by McMichael, and he'll go off for a change. 2-on-1. Oshie across the line with the toe drag between the legs, side of the net, and Sheary was stoned by Darcy Kemper. What a play by TJ Oshie. The creativity to create the scoring chance.
And we've seen a couple of odd man rushes for Washington already early in this hockey game, and a large reason for that is how aggressive Colorado's D will be in the offensive zone, whether joining the rush, pinching, and if you can chip it into the neutral zone, you'll get those kind of chances.
In the offensive zone, soft wrist shot off balance by Azapatri, went to the high glass behind Samsonov. It's back out in front of the penalty box doors, turned back past Hagelin, but here comes Jensen across the line. Long wrist shot. That's gloved up and out of play by Darcy Kemper.
TJ Oshie's just one of those guys you want on your team, especially as a coach, because he can do so many things for you. Look at these dangles here that he puts on both Colorado defensemen, gets them to leave their feet, and a good opportunity for his teammate in Sheary. But it's a nice little toe drag and then a back pass, and then Sheary just runs out of room. Good patience by Kemper.
And we talked about the bitterness, Nathan McKinnon, the fact that Colorado lost last season to Vegas and how he has carried that with him through the offseason. Got the bitterness as well of this Washington team. A Strong throws one wide. Lars Eller behind the net. He'll feed Strong. Right back to Eller. Keeps it alive at the blue line, but it just squeezes out of the Colorado zone. So that'll be a delayed offside and allow the easy exit for Bo Byron. He turns it over though. Back the other way comes Sprong. Angles along the half boards. Slides it to the goal line. Eller behind the net. Into the end boards. Sempo Ranta comes to the side of the net. Sweeping at it was Mantha. And now a long shot from Van Riemsdyk is guided away. Since winning the Cup back in 2018, it's been 3 straight first-round exits from the playoffs for Washington. You know that has to grind on Alex Ovechkin and a team that's one of the older teams in the National Hockey League.
Yep.
The clock is ticking for this roster.
The bubble wasn't good to Washington in both cases. They just didn't seem to enjoy their time there, didn't seem to embrace it, and it was difficult, no question about it. But they didn't play well in the last 3 playoffs, but the last 2 in particular.
Kuznetsov had to wait for his mates to get onside, so gathers back in his own end. Carlson ahead to Kuznetsov, tries to split the defense and does, moves in, he scores! Speed between the circles for Evgeny Kuznetsov, and the Caps have the early lead.
You know, this is typical of Evgeny Kuznetsov, just the move that he puts on, just puts the puck in his face. It's not necessarily about stick handling, but it's about keeping your feet moving, and it starts in his own zone. He's the one that drops it back to Carlson and then goes through open space. Look, he just puts that puck to space, gets it on his skate, puts it up to his stick, and goes 5-hole on Kemper. But if he doesn't push that ever so slightly right behind the defender and Murray right there, he doesn't get past those 3 defenders for the Colorado Avalanche. Just a slippery move by Kuznetsov.
Evgeny Kuznetsov had 3 assists in the first 2 games for Washington, but that is his first goal of the season. Caps have the early lead. Caps out shooting Colorado early 6-2, and they've got the 1-0 lead. Dump and chase now for the Avalanche. Samsonov trying to sweep it to the corner. Now Dmitry Orlov gathers along the goal line, weaves his way, and a nice outlet pass. Hathaway feeds one to Sheary across the line. Sheary tried to force one back through traffic to Hathaway, but it was blocked. TJ Oshie lost it along the half boards.
You know, Bob, this is a case for the Colorado Avalanche where, of course, you want to welcome Nathan MacKinnon back, but it changes everything, right? It changes your line combinations. It gets you out of sync a little bit, and we're seeing that here a little bit in the first period.
Kuznetsov off the goal, nippily through center. Here is Ovechkin. It ends up with Kuznetsov, and Wilson chops at it along the half boards. Kuznetsov has it. There is Ovechkin in that dangerous faceoff dot. Passed up the one-timer, trying to get it back to Kuznetsov, and got it off the heel of the stick. Tom Wilson digging forward in the corner. Kuznetsov there, 2-on-2 as well. Eric Johnson forces it up the wall. Van Riemsdyk pinching in to try and keep the pressure on. Here's Wilson, wrist shot, glove down easily by Darcy Kemper, and he will hold on. 12:14 to go in the opening period. Evgeny Kuznetsov split the defense, went 5-hole, and the Caps have the early lead. Amsterdam vodka, the official vodka of the NHL. Drink responsibly. A very impressive 5-2 win for the St. James Hockey Club, by the way,
Nice.
over the Howard Huskies pregame. 10 and under squirts. I haven't called a hockey game in about 13 years, so I came in and called this one. That wrister from the point, that was my call of the night.
Well, we walked in, and remember, they were getting ready down there. They were just jacked to be here, and what an opportunity for those young men.
The play on this ice must be the thrill of a lifetime. It's off the draw. Nick Jensen sends it around the wall. Gathered by Rantanen. End up against the boards, though. Gerard in there takes it free. Softly behind the net. To Bo Byram. One touch and a miss. There is Gerard to back it up. Comes across the line. Drops one to MacKinnon. MacKinnon leads it further. Looking for a return. But it's off the wall and too hot to handle. Ladle back out. And all the way down for an icing off the stick of Nick Dow.
Well, here you can see the goal by Evgeny Kuznetsov. Just a little give and go with him and John Carlson, but look how fast they get up ice. Almost 20 miles per hour, and then of course the celebration, the typical waving of the arms by Kuznetsov, and you know the bench loved it.
Now, possibly for the first time, it's the fourth line for Colorado that's out there. Recently called up Mikhail Montsev, the old devil, along with Martin Kaut. And Curtis McDermott, who normally a defenseman, but is going to step up and play wing or defenseman at times tonight, as they are still trying to piecemeal this lineup together. This is not the Colorado Avalanche that we are going to see as the season moves on.
But I wouldn't be surprised, though, if we see a lot of Curtis McDermott. You know, we were talking to Jared Bednar this morning, and he wants him to be involved. He's a big physical guy. I'm going to say the toughest guy in the NHL. He wants him in the lineup, potentially to play on that fourth line. He likes his presence, and he really thought it was important, not necessarily to play 7 defense tonight. He knew he was going to play him wing, but to get him involved, get him in the lineup.
Awesome. Kadri out there with the 2 new call-ups, and there's a backhander that's steered wide. Cale Makar went deep and now feeds it back to the point. Shot through traffic, rolls in on Samsonov, and he guides it to the far corner. Montsev cycles it around. And a big hit. And then a little extra behind the play for Van Riemsdyk, and now it looks like we've got a penalty called. And our first dust-up of the evening as Kadri gets into it after the whistle.
Well, there was a hit in the defensive zone against Washington, and Washington didn't like it.
Number 39, Washington, minor penalty, slashing. Number 91, Colorado, minor penalty, embellishment.
So Anthony Mantha called for the penalty on Kadri, and Kadri, instead of getting a gold statue, gets 2 minutes.
And I think I agree with this call, because here's, I don't know if we'll get a chance to see the initial hit that Mantha wasn't so happy about. There you can see, but that's the retaliation, the slash to the feet, no question about that call, but the referee also thought that Kadri went down a little bit too easy, and I think I agree on that one. And that's part of Kadri's game. He gets in there, he's a little bit of a pest, he's got obviously a tremendous amount of skill. And Mantha didn't like the initial hit.
So now some open ice. Either team have an advantage 4-on-4 over the other, in your opinion?
I like the speed of the Colorado defense here, and also this man, Nathan MacKinnon.
MacKinnon will hand it off to Rantanen and cycle in behind. MacKinnon stick handle, looking for a cutter. Threw it to the backhand of Girard. He couldn't tee it up to his forehand. So instead, along the half boards, battles with Oshie. Girard keeps it onside. McCarr at the line. Tracks it down. It's an angle and drops one off to Rantanen. Rantanen, wrist shot. Samsonov had that one go wide. Back to the point, it's MacKinnon. Into the wall by Ferravari. To neutralize, quickly back onside though, but turning it over was Girard. He's able to recover. Cale Makar, as talented a young defenseman as there is in the National Hockey League, he carried it across and dropped it off for Rantanen, who was forced back out to neutralize by the physical play of Ovechkin.
We think of 4-on-4 in the Colorado D. You got Makar, Girard, Byram, who will jump up into the play, and they act like forwards.
Ovechkin pivots, a little give and go to the front of the net is Wilson, and he is stopped by Darcy Kemper. 45 seconds of 4-on-4 when we return. Washington with the early lead.
It's Stephen A. More NHL action is coming your way on ESPN Plus with a Friday night doubleheader. Bruins Sabres at 7 and King Stars at 8:30. It's the NHL on ESPN Plus all season long.
Troubles continue. The Sharks are leading 2-0. Congrats to Jonathan Dahlin. His first career NHL goal. And yes, he's the son of former NHL great Ulf Dahlin. Bob?
All right, Linda, thanks very much. And Cassie, it's been a rough start to this season for the Montreal Canadiens. They're digging themselves an early hole.
Well, no Carey Price, no Shea Weber. I mean, that's a huge loss for that team as they try and fill two big roles on the team and two big leaders as well.
Kuznetsov, the goal scorer. And at 4-on-4 open ice, fed it back to the line, but just across the line was Jensen. Back to neutral ice. He's hit ahead. Rather Schultz too far for Ovechkin to handle. Stretch pass off the stick of MacKinnon. MacKinnon and Van Riemsdyk in the corner. MacKinnon throws to the puck. Double team. Justin Schultz back to help. There's Ovechkin off the tip of his stick. Stepping out of the box is Kadri and Mantha, so we skate 5 aside with about 8.5 minutes to go in the opening period. Lars Eller. Second pass attempt. Finds the target. It's Tom Wilson. Feathers one along to Mantha. Mantha tried to saucer one on the backhand to Eller. That was blocked. Getting in behind the net supporting. So though has it. Drops one off to Dmitry Orlov. But a terrific Kadri diving poke check. Got it back out to neutralize. And now Rantanen will wait for help. That's a terrific play by Nazem Kadri.
Yeah, you know, Wilson and Mantha have really done a nice job in on the forecheck, two bigger bodies, and Washington had a lot of possession there. That was a key play, not only because it got it out of the defensive zone, but Colorado also needed a change.
And now icing will be called on the Caps. Well, we have even more hockey to talk about. Tomorrow night, a doubleheader. A Wednesday night NHL double dip on TNT. Bruins Flyers at 7:30. And then the Blues and the Golden Knights at 10. And then Friday on ESPN Plus, the Bruins and Sabres at 7, and exclusive coverage of the Kings and Stars at 8:30 with an old cap between the pipes for Dallas.
Yeah, Braden Holtby now with Dallas, moving over there from Vancouver. How about Andrei Kopitar, one of the NHL Stars of the Week with Alexander Ovechkin? He had a hat trick. It seems like he's back and healthy.
How about the hustle by Connor Sheary to negate the icing? And now Oshie pokes it to Sheary. He's able to get one side of the net, and that was put on by McMichael and stopped by Darcy Kemper. Terrific hustle by Connor Sheary.
How about Connor McMichael as well, just looking pretty comfortable in the offensive zone, which is a good spot for Peter Laviolette to make sure that this line starts. Not so worried in the offensive zone as you would be with a face-off in the D zone for a young man, but insulated by Sheary and Oshie. He's getting a good opportunity to play with those two guys.
And they did the same with Hendrix Lapierre, the rookie, through his first couple of games. On an opening night, he scored.
I know. How incredible was that with his family in town? It's a real special moment.
really special when you're a Rangers fan as well. See your team just get shoved opening night. Good response, though, by the Rangers since that opening night loss. As a soft shot gets side of the net. Oshie trying to sweep the rebound home. And Kemper was there. Sheary in the corner. A penalty upcoming, and it will be called against Colorado. So the hustle of this Sheary, McMichael, Oshie line getting scoring opportunities. And now it will be a Washington power play.
And again, I sound like a broken record, but just the struggles. The struggles of the defense for Colorado against the bigger bodies of Washington. Girard just can't handle the forecheck. There's two guys always in. They have quick, close support. And this is a case here where it's just a lot of hustle by McMichael. And he gets the puck back, and you can see the stick of Girard just takes the feet out from underneath him. But it's constant pressure.
So the top power play unit out there for Washington. Carlson at the right point. Kuznetsov now has it along the half boards. Lurking between the circles is Oshie, and always lurking. Left face-off dot is Ovechkin. Kuznetsov, wrist shot, stops, and sticked away by Kemper to the corner. Recovered back to the point, though. It is Carlson. Kuznetsov with Ovechkin on the near side of the ice directing traffic. Ovechkin tried to go back door, and Kuznetsov forced one towards the net. Stopped again by Kemper. Reset to Kuznetsov. Between the circles, Oshie. One touch to Carlson. Back to Kuznetsov. 40 seconds gone by in the power play. Here is Ovechkin. Unable to gather the pass from Carlson. And that was covered by Eric Johnson in the corner, and he throws it all the way down.
Well, the number one job of the penalty kill on the Colorado Avalanche is take care of Ovechkin. But then you got to deal with Oshie, who's in that bunker position, net front position. They've just got so many weapons.
Stick in center ice. And moving in short-handed is JT Compher, and he scores! JT Compher does it all by himself. A neutral zone steal and a short-handed goal to tie it at 1.
Or if you're on the penalty kill, just score, right? Score a shorthanded goal, and watch the stick here by JT Compher. Just reads that play the entire way by Kuznetsov, gets on his horse and just shields off Kuznetsov, frees up his stick, which allows him to pretty much put this anywhere he wants, and Samsonov puts his head up right at the very last second and right above the glove. What an effort by Compher, who's played wing, he's played center already for Jared Bednar as they've dealt with some injuries and suspensions. And he's rewarded with a huge shorthanded goal to tie this hockey game.
So the power play still alive for another 43 seconds for the Caps. They've got their second power play group out there. Strong has it along the half boards, gets a return, sends it along the goal line. There's Lars Eller. Eller feathers one out in front off the stick of Orlov. He had room, but one was unable to tee it up, and now it's pitchforked all the way down by Colorado, and Justin Schultz will recover. We're through center. Wilson chases in the corner, as does Eller. Down to the final 4 seconds of the power play. Schultz has it. Short angle shot was blocked in front by Kemper. Eller on the doorstep, and we are back at 5 aside. So there was a goal scored on special teams, but it was scored by Colorado shorthanded. Orlov dragged one between the circles, but couldn't tee up the shot. Strong throws one to the front of the net. That's deflected in on Kemper by Eller, and he was able to turn it aside. Orlov can't keep it alive at the left point. Under 5 minutes to go in a first period. We are now tied at 1.
You know, that goal is so big for so many reasons, obviously by JT Compher, but they got some momentum back. They got some life. They really hadn't had a lot of jump in this first period, the Colorado Avalanche. Give credit to the Washington Capitals, but they needed something to settle them down, and that goal is going to be a big part of it.
Capitals out shooting Colorado 15-5 here in the first period. We are deadlocked at 1 on the shorthanded goal by JT Compher. Long shot by Barabari through traffic, and that is gloved down once again by Darcy Kemper. Shorthanded, and this the equalizer.
And a beautiful play by JT Compher's. He puts this one upstairs. That the video departments do to scout the goaltenders of the opposition. So the goal by Kuznetsov, 5-hole. Where does Tom Wilson go on his next shot? 5-hole. Where does McMichael try to go on Kemper? 5-hole. And there's something that the Washington Capitals have seen. And here's another one by Lars Eller, a rebound opportunity. He tries to go back, 5-hole. So you know through the video scouting, they've looked at Darcy Kemper's game and they said 5-hole is maybe a big issue for him. And I'd also have to say, and not to pick apart Darcy Kemper, I think he's an amazing goaltender, but blocker side has been known. And you know that the Colorado Avalanche have a scouting report on Samsonov. They just haven't been able to get down enough in the offensive zone to test that out.
ESPN Plus Hockey Night, presented by New Amsterdam Vodka. It's Peter Laviolette. Now the winningest American-born head coach in the National Hockey League. And of course, Jared Bednar, who had to miss the opener because of COVID protocols for Colorado. He's just happy to be back on the bench.
Yeah, what a pleasure to talk to him this morning and Peter Laviolette this afternoon about his tremendous coaching career. Really loved the tribute video that the Washington Capitals did. They had Rod Brindamore take part, Paul Holmgren, Kevin McCarthy, who of course is still on the bench with them. Tony Granato was part of that, and he said that was the thing that was really special of all the texts and all the messages that he received once he won that game against the New York Rangers.
So the only downside to having that type of an accomplishment is you feel old.
Yeah.
So it took a long time to get there. But he passes our new partner, John Tortorella, as the winningest all-time U.S.-born head coach.
Pretty impressive, without question.
The way chips it behind, thrown out in front. Van Riemsdyk recovers. The Caps keep the pressure on. Long wrist shot from the point. Sails wide by Schultz. Along with Cassie Campbell. Pascal on Bob Wischusen. And we are happy that you can join us as the Caps and Avalanche off to a great start. 3:47 to go, first period tied at 1. Let's check in with Linda.
All right, Bob. Seattle, who you'll see Saturday on ESPN Plus in New Jersey, take on the Devils. Congrats to Dawson Mercer. His first career NHL goal, beating Joey Decourt, and Mercer's parents were in the house. 2-0 Devils.
What's better than scoring your first goal and the cameras are able to find mom and dad?
That's awesome. I gotta say, I got a text from Linda when I joined ESPN, and it meant a lot being from Canada and knowing who she is and what she's done for the sport as a female broadcaster. It was such a treat.
I texted you.
Yeah.
Didn't seem to be met with the same response. Not sure where the enthusiasm was or why it was lacking.
Kind of ironic, though, that we sat pretty much side by side. AJ Malesko was between us at our initial meetings, and lo and behold, we're partners up here in the broadcast booth. I thought that was instant connection, Bob.
Yeah.
You know?
And I can tell you're now a die-hard fan of New York Jets football now, just
totally.
by being around me.
I'm going to watch every single game.
Exactly. Of course, I'm on the radio.
Well,
so
listen, I'm going to listen.
There you go.
Watch and listen. Watch the game on TV, but listen to you on the radio.
Kuznetsov loses the draw. That's been an early problem as well for Washington. They have not been good in the face-off dots through the first 3 games. Gerard across the line. And that wrist shot sails wide by Rantanen. Rantanen after his own miss behind the net. Burakovsky there as well. 3-on-3 they battle as McKinnon lurks. Poke free, and Tom Wilson sweeps it. Odd man rush the other way. Here come the Caps. Lurking left is Ovechkin. The shot short side. Instead, it's Nick Jensen, and he scores! Oh, maybe Darcy Kemper was worried about Ovechkin to his right. Gave up the short side to Nick Jensen, and the Capitals retake the lead.
You know, you're thinking if you're Washington, you've completely outplayed the Colorado Avalanche, and yet you find yourself with just 3+ minutes left and you're tied 1-1. Well, the good D zone, and Nick Jensen starts as the middle side D. He jumps up, reads this play, a little give and go, and he puts this far side on Kemper, who drops that right shoulder a little bit low. He goes to put the paddle down to block what? The 5-hole. Nick Jensen sees it. And you know, maybe Kemper was thinking he's going to go over to Ovechkin, but the defenseman keeps it, buries it.
Exactly. You always wonder when Ovechkin is lurking with your peripheral vision as a goaltender, how does that impact what type of a threat you think Nick Jensen is as a shooter?
Well, and I think Kemper was going down to put the paddle down to block the 5-hole and potentially push over to the side and cheat a little bit. So that's just a perfect shot.
Gathering behind the net, Mirabari throws it out to neutral ice, gathered by Lars Eller, and he will backhand one deep. So the only goal scored by Colorado was an individual effort by JT Compher on a Washington power play, a steal and a shorthanded goal. Not too much offense for Colorado other than that. They only have 5 total shots on net here in the first period, and they're behind once again.
Yeah, and you know, Jared Bednar's just not happy with this first period, the Avalanche head coach. And you think on the other side, we've talked about some of the players missing for Colorado due to suspension, Landeskog and Nichushkin. But how about Nick Backstrom, not in the lineup for the Washington Capitals, your all-time franchise leader in assists? That's a huge hole for the Capitals to try and fill.
Off the draw, trying to tee one up at the right point was Bakar, but turned it over and had to retreat back to neutral ice. He's got it center circle, across the line, Rantanen puts the brakes on along the half boards. Tried to cycle one deep, but Van Riemsdyk is there first. Hagelin. It looks like he was just a step offside. So Jensen scores the goal. Dmitry Orlov and Tom Wilson with the assists. And Washington has the 2-1 lead.
You love it, though, when a guy like Nick Jensen scores. You look at all the offensive power on the Washington Capitals, and you have somewhat of a stay-at-home defenseman, although he didn't really look like it on that last rush, but a guy that you wouldn't count on the back end to score big goals. That was a big one.
Kadri wins the draw. And a shot from the half boards is trapped by Samsonov. This is the first trip to the East Coast for Colorado in 19 months. We forget about the COVID impact. Not only the bubble, but last season, basically the National Hockey League was just split in half, and the Canadian teams had to stay in Canada. The Western team stayed out west. The Eastern teams played each other as well to cut down on travel. And interesting to see how teams start to get used to the longer road trips, as now it looks like a penalty is going to be called against the Caps.
JT Compher in there.
Number 9, Washington, 2 minutes interference.
The last couple of faceoffs there, Colorado did win them and weren't able to generate a ton of offense from those opportunities, but they create this penalty. You know, they stay in the zone long enough. You get some tired bodies out there for Washington. And sometimes you don't get chances off your offensive faceoff wins, but you can definitely gain some momentum here. And there you can see Orlov just recognizing Compher coming off that hash mark area from the faceoff, doesn't allow him to get to front, and that's the interference call.
The shot attempts are just as lopsided as the official shots on net. Colorado has only been able to attempt 10 shots here in the first period, so it's not like they're firing away and missing the net. Maybe an opportunity here on the power play to get one back, but the Caps win the draw, and it's hammered all the way down by John Carlson.
You know, just going back to your comment, Bob, about the travel, this is a tough road trip here for Colorado. You start with Washington, then you go to Florida and Tampa. Tough trip to start the season.
Getting with speed. And there's one back towards the point. There's McCaw. Thought about a wrist shot. Instead along the half boards. Gets a return. Tyson Jost. Back to McCaw. McCaw. There is the long wrist shot, and that whistles wide. And out of mid-air, it is taken by Carlson and batted out to neutral ice. Now to the final minute of the first period. Hagelin with a takeaway, shorthanded. Now he'll wrap one around the wall. Garnet Hathaway, he almost wrapped one into the net. Shorthanded, as pressure put on by Hagelin and Hathaway. And that is disrupting this Colorado power play with 42 seconds to go in the period. 50 seconds to go on the man advantage. Speed through neutral ice for Burakovsky. Goes deep and collides with Jensen. Jensen backhands one. It Battle two aside. 18 seconds to go in the period. And it is turned over, and Hagelin is there to take the loose puck and send it all the way down. 24 to go in the power play, but down 10 seconds remaining in the period. Kadri, 2 seconds to go. Long shot. That is blocked, and it will be a 2-1 Capitals lead after 1 period of play. That's the end of the first. A 1-goal lead for the Caps. We'll come back with the second shortly, but right now we send you to Steve Levy, Mark Messier, and Chris Chelios in the studio. Steve?
All right, Bob, thanks. Coming up on the Lexus First Intermission Report, Mark and Chris are standing by on a busy night around the NHL. All the pretty pictures when we come back. Welcome back, everyone. Evgeny Kuznetsov, like a rocket ship, splits through the defense and scores the goal. A dandy. The Capitals lead the Avalanche by a score of 2-1. It probably could be a lot worse than that. 17-7 of the shots in favor of Washington. Back with Mark Messier and Chris Chelios in our home here on NHL Plus, on ESPN Plus. Hope you're enjoying all the games. It's a plus, really, for everyone. How about Kuznetsov just flying through center there?
Dominant period by him. We opened the show talking about McKinnon, and of course, Mr. Kuznetsov said, I have something to say about this game here, and he was dominant. Loved the 1-2 punch with him and Backstrom, obviously, with Washington. No wonder why Ovechkin's scoring 1 million goals a year, not 1 million goals. But
hyperbole.
But you can see the speed, the possession of the puck. Just an incredible, talented hockey player, and it's no wonder the Washington Capitals won the Stanley Cup with him playing at the top of his game. And it looks like he's back on top of his game right now, and he's going to make a big difference in the push to win another one this year.
I don't know how you guys feel about possession time leading. The bottom line here is no one had the puck more on his stick than Evgeny Kuznetsov, getting first-line minutes with Ovechkin and Tom Wilson. No Nicholas Backstrom, obviously, for the Caps, out with a hip.
Well, Kuznetsov on that play, you can see he didn't really stick handle. He was going through the D. He just protected the puck, let the puck keep moving ahead of him until he saw it was time to take a break. Great heads-up pass by Karlsson, too, though. That's why he's one of the leading defensemen. His first pass is always looking up the ice. Lidstrom did the same thing, not to his partner. And Kuznetsov's the guy who found that lane and then just split the D and finished it off.
What happens to the Avs a first period like that? How do you not come out ready to play? Here's McKinnon's back in the lineup. You're so talented, and yet kind of lay an egg there in the first.
I couldn't believe how well Washington played against the Rangers' first game of the year.
Yep.
I don't think anybody's really putting them in the conversation to win another Stanley Cup. But if they're healthy and they're playing the way they are right now, they have to be considered another team that can obviously contend for the Cup. And with Kuznetsov playing the way he is right now, he's one of the best players in the world, and it makes a huge difference to that team.
So you're saying it's more about the Caps than the Avs, what they're doing to the Avs.
I believe so.
Yeah, the only I'll give credit to the Avs is a lot of the shots were from the perimeter or bad angles, gave their goalie a chance on most of the shots. The only one was when Ovechkin set up Wilson for that little breakaway, that little give and go off the half boards. But that was probably their best scoring chance. But they did have a lot of shots, and Colorado generated no shots, no offense the whole period.
Probably a different second period. I know you guys are hot on the Nick Jensen goal. Let's take a look at that now from this first period. And, Charlie, give me your thoughts on this.
Well, Jensen come from the Red Wings. Really great skater. You see him here. He's looking to get the puck back. I don't know what Gruber's doing there. Or Kemper. I'm sorry, Kemper.
Ovi as a decoy?
Yeah, I think he's thinking Ovi's getting that puck. He's going to come out and poke check him. But, yeah, great play by Jensen, and especially from the far end, anticipating. And you got 2D jumping up with the play.
I love the fact that two defensemen are leading the rush with Ovechkin on the left side. I'd like to be a fly on the wall tomorrow morning during the video session and see how long it takes for the players to start chirping Orlov for not passing the puck over Ovechkin. Someone needs to remind him he's only 150 goals away from being the all-time greatest goal scorer.
Here's what I want to know.
Healthy scratch coming up,
If Jensen shoots that puck into the stands, what happens then?
Ovi's going to run someone next year. How's that?
On his own team.
Right.
That's the story right now. The Capitals are enjoying a 2-1 lead over the Avalanche. It's 2-1 after the first period. And the Avs, they get a little fired up. They look inspired to you guys right there? Is that a terrible visiting dressing room?
That's the kind I used to like, though. Combustible energy in a small room like that.
Life on the road in the NHL.
Oh, yeah.
This first intermission report is presented by Lex.
2-1 2-1 Caps after one over the Avs. What to watch for around later this week. Brad Marchand and the Bruins take on the Sabres, 7 Eastern on Friday night with John Buccigrass on the call. Then also on Friday, Drew Doughty and the Kings travel to take on the Dallas Stars, 8:30 Eastern. And then Saturday, the Seattle Kraken have their first home game as they host the Canucks at 10 p.m. Eastern. Call Ray Ferraro for tickets. That's on ESPN+. Let's go around the NHL tonight. Speaking of the Kraken, Seattle on the road in New Jersey. And this is always nice. Say hi to Dawson Mercer and welcome to the NHL, kid.
Every player always remembers their first goal. I remember mine, October 13th. It was on my mom's birthday against Rogie Vachon and Detroit Red Wings.
Wow, you scored against a Hall of Famer right away. Chelly, your first goal?
First goal, Pete Peters in the Boston Garden. And the best thing about that highlight was watching his parents in the crowd. That's cool.
We'll get to the Hall of Fame goal that you scored on in a second. Damon Severson scored that goal. And then here's Jack Hughes. This is an important player for the Devils. Jeremy Lauzon got him a little bit. And Hughes, talking about his left shoulder, you see gingerly leaving the ice.
Really too bad for Hughes. I was expecting him to have a great year. Hopefully he's not out too long there because I think he's going to have an amazing year.
Here's the Stars and the Penguins now. That's Raffle rifling one home. And the Stars have a 1-0 lead. All right, so who was the goalie you scored against your first goal?
Pete Peters.
Yeah.
Old Boston Bruin, yeah. And it was actually my first goal. It was in the playoffs. I had 13 games prior to that and thought I was going to Sherbrooke for sure. I was getting ready to pack, and then I got that goal, and the rest was history. So
you became an offensive defenseman.
I just thought, I don't know what happened, but just the switch went on, and everything went well the rest of the playoffs.
And started filling it up from there. Lots from Chris Chelios. Second period action on the way. See if the Avalanche manage a few more opportunities. 2-1 Caps after one. You've been watching the Lexus First Intermission Report.
New Amsterdam vodka. Here in our nation's capital, it was all capitals in the first period. Washington with a 2-1 lead over Colorado with Cassie Campbell-Pascal. I'm Bob Wischusen, set for the start of the second period. The Caps dominated that first 20 minutes.
They did, and you know what line I think set the tone? The Nick Dowd line. Peter Laviolette starts him in the game. They get right in there on the forecheck, and I just really thought that set the night, that set the tone for the Capitals so far.
How about our game recap? To this point, brought to you by Progressive.
Yeah, you know, again, it was all Capitals, and this is just a beautiful play. John Carlson, a little one-on-one, one-on-three, if you will. Evgeny Kuznetsov gets on the board first for the Washington Capitals. But this goal, huge here. JT Compher ties it up, shorthanded. Colorado had nothing at this point. He got some momentum for them. Look at this, a 3-on-1, two defensemen and Alexander Ovechkin. Who do you think is going to get the puck? Alexander Ovechkin. Nope, it's Nick Jensen with his first of the year. And a beautiful response by the Capitals, who dominated that first period.
If you were in the locker room between periods, what do you imagine the message from Jared Bednar was to his team?
Maybe calm, negative, positive. You know, I think at this point in the season, you don't want it to be too negative, right? Because everyone's just getting going. You got your superstar back in Nathan McKinnon. So say, hey, wasn't a good period, boys, but we're only down by one. And the Colorado Avalanche are lucky to be down just by one based on the first period they just played.
And we start off the second period with an attack by Washington, but a shot off the stick of Hagelin that caroms up and out of play.
You know, I think as a coach, you got to pick your moments sometimes. You know, it wasn't a great period at all, but you're still in the hockey game, and such an early time in the season. You want to make sure you're preaching the details, but I don't think you want to get down on the boys at this point. Just one of those periods where you just park it and move on.
13 seconds of power play time carried over into the second period for Colorado. They've got an odd man rush. Burakovsky finds the trailer. McKinnon moves in, tries to root one, and coming out with the glove hand was Samsonov, squared up to Nathan McKinnon and turned it aside. And now we are back at 5 aside. Carl Hagelin backhands one deep. McKinnon digs it free. pass deflects to center, and Burakovsky will wind it in deep. Orlov. There's one along the half boards. Hathaway had to wait for it. Banks it off the penalty box doors out to neutral ice. Hathaway creates a turnover, moves in. Centering pass, front of the net. Kemper is there with the stick. And he is able to turn that chance aside. Here is Kuznetsov. Pivoting behind the net. Weaving his way into the corner. Kuznetsov tried to drag one through traffic. And it's wound deep by Ovechkin. Behind the net, Tom Wilson. He couldn't corral the puck. And able to escape is Burakovsky. He gets buried at neutral ice. A big hit from Wilson.
You know, Burakovsky does a nice job though, just getting that puck deep. He needed a change there. He recognized Wilson was coming, and he sacrificed his body to make the play.
Ovechkin. One hands, one deep. Kuznetsov behind the net. Looking for Ovechkin. Instead out to the point. Arivari's shot. Handed up into the chest protector of Kemper. And the rebound controlled by the Avalanche. A.T. Comfort throws it to center. Step down the right wing side for Kadri. He's able to force it back to the point. Kept alive at the point beautifully. And thrown deep by McDermott. Kadri has made a couple of hustle plays that have been impressive. A couple of times from his belly. Has kept plays alive for Colorado. Lars Eller waits for help. Deliberately slides one between the left pad and the stick of Kemper. Ends up back at the point. Long shot deflected in front. Schultz tries to keep it alive at the right point and does. Hops over the stick of Eller. With Sampo Ranta. He and Eller come together at the half boards. Trying to dig it free is Daniel Sprong. Now it's controlled by the Avalanche. And they're able to move it out to neutral ice. Tyson Jost goes after Van Riemsdyk. Van Riemsdyk off balance. Jost ends up with the puck. Saucer pass back to the point. One touch deep. Now behind the net is Logan O'Connor. O'Connor pivots along the half boards. Out in front. Shot. Score! Darren Helm off the feed from Logan O'Connor, who made a beautiful pass after pivoting along the half boards to tie the game at 2.
Well, better job by Colorado getting the puck in deep in the O-zone. And this is just a beautiful play by Logan O'Connor. Simple, but he uses the net as a shield. And there you can see that he loses Justin Schultz, then a little button hook back. And that just opens up space, a seam across, as the Washington defenders are now lost. Where's my man? You can see Helm just bounces back, comes back into the hash mark area, and a wide open net on Samsonov. Good patience there by Logan O'Connor to find that seam.
Where do you think the defensive breakdown is there, where Justin Schultz kind of ended up in a mini 2-on-1 in front of the net with no help?
Well, Logan O'Connor loses him, right?
And now another turnover. That one has to be sticked away by Samsonov.
He uses the net as a shield, so he loses one defender in Justin Schultz, so then everyone has to adjust. Then he loses another defender with the button hook, then you have to adjust again, and always someone is going to be open.
Sounds hard. How did you ever win 2 gold medals playing this game?
I don't know. I had good teammates. We had a lot of fun.
Eric Johnson with a pretty back check for Colorado, as the Avalanche with a little more pep in their step to start off this period, tying the game at 2. Burakovsky deep in the right wing corner. Oshie pokes it off his stick, and now Connor Sheary lost his balance, regained. He's able to force it ahead. Connor McMichael sets up Oshie, and he missed. Gerard skates it back, and he'll ladle one deep for Colorado.
You mentioned Connor McMichael, Bob. He only played 2 minutes and 11 seconds in the first period, but 2 shots. Exactly what a head coach would want. You're not getting the ice time, but get the opportunities.
A.T. Comfort off the steal, and there is a save by Samsonov with the left shoulder off Kadri's wrister. Hathaway outlets to Nick Dow. He's beaten the puck by Cale Makar. Right in front of the penalty box doors, Kadri. Instead, it's turned back by Nick Jensen. Coming up on 5 minutes gone by. Here in the second period. It was all Washington in the first, but a much more even first 5 minutes here in the second, and the only goal so far in the second period to the Avalanche. They have tied it up at 2. Kuznetsov digs it free. Ovechkin starts ahead. Kuznetsov couldn't get at the puck, turns it over instead. House plays it back towards the point. It's taken by Ovechkin to center, but turned right back in by Tyson Jost. Van Riemsdyk sweeps it to Kuznetsov, flips it along the wall. Orlov is able to Ovechkin able to poke it to neutral ice. Now a delayed offside call on Colorado.
One thing that needed to be better for Colorado was that top line with Nathan MacKinnon coming back for the first game of the season. They were -6 combined, but you can see here early in the second period, they've been in the offensive zone a lot more.
MacKinnon just turned it over. Here is TJ Oshie. He can't keep it onside. Ends up on the stick of MacKinnon, coming back the other way, trying to toe drag it around Fehervari. Fehervari was able to wall him off and now bury him in the corner as he is all over Rantanen. Moving in and trying to step past the check was Connor McMichael. And now we've got a whistle out in neutral ice. We're going to have a holding penalty. Let's see who heads to the penalty box. It looks like it is going to be Connor Sheary. That's going to step in for Washington. So it will be an Avalanche power play when we return. They have tied the game at 2 here in the second in Washington. Shot, loose, score! Is in the box. 2 minutes for holding. The Avalanche do have a special teams goal, though, in this game. JT Compher scored their first goal shorthanded. See what they can manage on the power play here. Jost in the corner. Tries to poke it back up the half boards to MacKinnon. Instead, Eller is able to combine forces with Wilson, and they get the puck out to neutral ice. Head of steam from MacKinnon. Across the line to Rantanen. Played one back towards the point, and that was kept alive. Carr wheels his way in. Sends it all around the wall to MacKinnon. One touch pass, and now MacKinnon gets a return. Carr at the point, straight away MacKinnon. Long wrist shot, gloved down by Samsonov. Couldn't control the rebound, but just as well as Van Riemsdyk was there to fire it all the way around and down.
And Jost was there as well, Bob. He almost got a stick on that, which made that glove save for Samsonov just not as clean as he would have liked.
Carl Hagelin is a fixture on the penalty kill for Washington. 144 minutes, I think, last year of penalty kill time as Nazem Kadri carries it along the half boards and puts the brakes on. Plays it back to the point to Girard and gets a return. Along the end line, right back to Kadri. Straight away to Girard. Girard, wrist shot, looking for a deflection in front. Found its way through to Samsonov, and he makes another save. Maltsev in the corner. As it poked off his stick, fired off the left wing boards, and all the way down. As we are down to the final 20 seconds of Sheary's penalty.
You know, you were saying John Carlson, such a fixture on the penalty kill. He's such a fixture in every single play that the Washington Capitals have. You know, you think of the Kuznetsov goal, and big minutes he plays.
Right out in front, Maltsev tried to feather one through the slot, and Van Riemsdyk went down on his belly and blocked the centering pass, and that ends the Sheary penalty. He steps out of the box. 2 shots on the power play that time for Colorado, but they are now 0 for 2 with the man advantage. And a deflected puck off the stick of Hathaway went right up into the face of Jack Johnson. I think that puck snuck under the shield of Johnson and caught him either in the mouth or under his nose.
Yeah, Garnet Hathaway just trying to deflect that as he was over the center ice line into the Colorado Avalanche zone. A nice pass here by Nick Jensen, hard, so you know as a forward that he just wants you to tip that. You have someone coming on you, and Jack Johnson was stepping up into the play to close the gap on Garnet Hathaway, and the puck hits him right in the face, as you mentioned.
So Jack Johnson Ends up back in the dressing room. As you can see the blood on the ice. As he took that puck just up under the face shield. So while we have a moment, a reminder, you can follow the NHL on social media for behind-the-scenes coverage of the biggest moments, original content with your favorite players, and highlights from the best plays in hockey.
Jack Johnson, a nice signing by Joe Sakic, a late signing just before the season started, scores in the first game, then he goes on COVID protocol, and then he's back. But a veteran defenseman that I think can help insulate the guys like Cale Makar and Bo Byram. And I think that's a key signing by Joe Sakic, who, by the way, I got a chance to talk to in the intermission. You don't often get to see him at home in Canada, so it was nice to kind of catch up. Been to a few Olympics together, and just such a gentleman, and what a job he's done with his team.
He's anxiously awaiting the return of Devon Taves. Of course, Valerie Nikushkin is still out with an upper body injury as well, and Landeskog is serving the second game of his 2-game suspension tonight, so he'll be back as Colorado continues this trip. But this Avalanche team is not whole yet. When they are whole, can you find a team that is more deep and talented than they are when they've got their best roster on the ice?
I mean, it's really hard. I still think Tampa's good. Obviously, you know, they lost a few players, but I still think they've got a deep team and an experienced team. Boy, the Avalanche look really good. You know, and speaking of general managers of the Colorado Avalanche, the late Pierre Lacroix was honored this week in Colorado. Of course, he won a Stanley Cup in 1996 and 2006, and it was a 30-minute ceremony, and just a beautiful moment to honor the late GM.
And so Ray Bourque was there as part of all of the alumni to honor Pierre Lacroix. Off the draw, quick trigger by Ovechkin, blocked in front. Back the other way comes Darren Helm. Helm with his first goal of the season. That was the equalizer that knotted this game at 2. Tyson Jost puts the brakes on. Helm lurking. O'Connor tries to force it back to the point. Ends up in neutral ice, and on the back pedal, it's Eric Johnson. Plays catch with Ryan Murray. Helm sends it deep. Jost has it. Jost weaves his way in. Hard angle shot, and Samsonov traps the rebound and covers up. How about our SAP coaching insights? And Cassie, this pretty simple coaching insight as well, I would say, right? If you're the Washington Capitals, you need to be better in the faceoff time.
Yeah, I mean, those numbers are not good at all. 30th and 31st, obviously the rank last year, and you can see just how tough of a year it was for them at the faceoff circle, and having Nick Backstrom out here early isn't going to help the matter either. Such a big part of all of their faceoff plays. But you know, that's such a key thing, you know, especially in the playoffs, right? Those key moments in a hockey game where if you can just win a faceoff, you can eliminate so much pressure on your defenseman, on your goaltender.
At fourth energy line, out there for Washington. Here's Nick Dowd. Back to the point to Carlson. Wrists one to the end boards. Hagelin sweeps it around, hoping for Dowd. Instead, it's poked free by Burakovsky. And McKinnon now with speed across the line. Drops one to Rantanen. Rantanen moved it between the circles. Couldn't tee up a shot. And back the other way. The Capitals attack. Shot towards the net. Hathaway looking for a rebound off the Faravari try. Bo Byram softly ladles one in. Goes in after his own dump in. Past the midway point of the second period. Right on the doorstep. Trying to poke one home. And looking for a rebound was Logan O'Connor. Barry to Carlson. One touched deep by Sheary. Kadri had it hop over his stick. Moving in behind the net is Sheary. Sheary centers one. Oshie, quick trigger. And that deflected just wide. Dmitry Orlov swoops in behind the net with the rebound. Back to the point. Long shot sails wide from Jensen. There is Oshie keeping it alive, but now a turnover. And back the other way comes Colorado. Kadri puts the brakes on along the half boards with 9 minutes to go in the second period. And deliberately back through center. Sending one deep is Sheary. And it'll be a full change for the Caps.
Can't say enough about this Nick Dowd line, Garnet Hathaway, Carl Hagelin, and they're predominantly out there against the McKinnon line any chance Peter Laviolette gets, and they've done a fantastic job. Just aggressive on them, good defensive zone coverage. They haven't really given them a ton.
There were only 2 lines that played together more last season than that line. Hagelin, Dowd, and Hathaway, they live with each other on the ice. They were the only 3 Caps to play every game for Washington last season. That shot by Ranta. Deflected wide of Samsonov. Down the wing comes Daniel Sprong for Washington. Gets to the goal line and is walled off. Flips up out of play with 7:52 to go in the second period. Tied at 2 here in D.C. The equalizer for Colorado.
Well, Colorado needed more shots after that first period. There's no question about it. But a nice play by Logan O'Connor to use the net as a shield here. His head up the whole way, loses a defender, loses another defender, and Darren Helm just finds that sweet spot right in the slot, uncovered. Puck comes across his body. He catches it and puts it into the open net past Samsonov. But a nice play there by Logan O'Connor to have good patience to find Helm in the slot.
That is 2-time Canadian Olympic gold medalist Cassie Campbell-Pascal. I'm Bob Wischusen. I'm just a balding broadcaster. And we are happy to be here at Capital One Arena in Washington. Been a good one so far between the Caps and the Avalanche, as you would expect. 2 of the better teams in the National Hockey League. Here is Ovechkin. Had a quiet night so far and can't control that puck at the Colorado line. Was able to cycle one back to Faravari at the Washington line.
You know, the thing about Ovechkin, though, is he just needs one shot, right? And that's the type of player that he is. He could be having a quiet night, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's a puck in the back of the net. He just has that capability, that goal-scoring knack, obviously chasing that Wayne Gretzky record. And that's what stars do. You know, sometimes they don't have their best stuff, but they find a way to have big moments.
Ovechkin forced that one wide. You know, hockey's the fastest game in the world, and there is nothing better than being down at ice level, the speed, the sounds of the game. It's where I do some of my best work. I don't speak. We just give you that now. The speed of the game, we give you the rush. I have found that there's nothing more exciting than when we get the players on the rush after an icing touchdown.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful. But you never know. We might hear something, communication. There's a face-off play. Carlson's talking to Kuznetsov, you know. Might get some good stuff. Just unfortunately, just not in that moment. But I love it.
I'm just going to not speak again.
Okay.
See if it works this time. shot of a Washington Capital goal to give them the 3-2 lead as Anthony Mantha on the doorstep was able to pivot past Darcy Kemper. That was a really cool look at an incredible game to see in person. We're trying to bring it to you as best we can. Here's another look at the goal by Mantha.
Well, Mantha feeling the rush right now, and he gets left all alone in front, and Kemper goes for the initial tip. He's thinking Mantha's going to tip this right away. Instead, Mantha gets it from his foot to his blade and carries it around the other side. A nice little heads-up play by Mantha to recognize how much time he had to go one-on-one on Darcy Kemper.
That is Mantha's first of the season. Off the neutral zone draw, Van Riemsdyk played it across the line. Looks like it was offside. He'll step aside. Washington back on top.
Florida gets on the board first. It's 1-0 Panthers thanks to that goal by Brandon Montour, beating Andre Vasilevsky. 14 saves for Spencer Knight, Bob.
Linda between Montour, Alexander Barkov, Jonathan Huberdeau. The start that Sam Bennett is off to. That Florida team is a very dangerous team that not many might be talking about that don't really know the National Hockey League.
Yeah, and Barkov with the new deal, which sends a message to maybe other free agents down the road that this is a team to be on.
And Riemsdyk with a terrific play down on his knees to stop that centering pass. That's the 100th career goal of Anthony Mantha. Has made this a 3-2 game. Eller with the lone assist. And we have alternated goals. The Caps took the early lead. It was 1-1 on the shorthanded goal by J.T. Compher. The two teams exchanged goals after that as well. And now Mantha makes it 3-2 Washington. Blocked shot rolls all the way down into Colorado ice. Covered by Bo Byram. Sends it right back to the penalty box doors. Feathered deep by Logan O'Connor. Orlov to Kuznetsov. Hands one back to Jensen. Now Orlov through center. Head of steam across the line. Dmitry Orlov carries it deep. Tried to play one behind the net, hoping for Wilson, or rather a loose puck in the right wing corner. There Barrios pinching in deep. Wilson gets it to Kuznetsov. Kuznetsov to the left point. Here is Wilson. Tom Wilson back to Orlov at the right point. He gets it to the left point. Nick Jensen. Good puck movement and possession by Washington, but not getting a scoring chance off of it yet as Kuznetsov is behind the net. Here is Ovechkin. Brings it back to the point. Orlov, one-time drive and a left pad save is made by Darcy Kemper. Orlov on the backhand. Sends it back to Wilson at the point as they exchange places. Kuznetsov wheels in, wrist shot, score! Second of the night for Evgeny Kuznetsov. And Washington stretches to a 2-goal lead.
Jared Bednar looking for a spark, so he puts Tyson Jost out with McKinnon and Ranton, and will they spend the entire shift in the defensive zone as Kuznetsov line is out there? And what Washington does is they go from high to low, low to high, about 4 or 5 times on this shift. And you can see the Colorado Avalanche are just kind of back in that house area, if you will, because no one really has a man, they just have space. And that allows Kuznetsov to have so much time to come around, and he's going to pick his spot every time.
The first 2-goal lead for either team with 3:19 to go in the second. Again, the Capitals are doubling up Colorado in shots on net as Kadri sweeps one to center ice. Carlson turns it over. Taken by Maltsev across the line. Swept around the boards by Kadri. Looking for a return from Burakovsky. Carlson there. Hagelin and Carlson battle 2-on-2. As Mikhail Maltsev tries to cycle it deep. Goes past the stick of Mark Kaut. With muscle keeping it alive and keeping the play onside is Bo Byram. But now some open ice for Barabara. Swept deep by Hagel. Kuznetsov is second of the night from Wilson and Orlov at 16:41 to give Washington the 4-2 lead. Sampo Ranta on the backhand with speed beneath the goal line. Sends it softly back to the point. And that's just wound around by McDermott. And Riemsdyk. He'll chip one out to neutral ice. Gloved down by McCarr. Plays it right back to the Washington line. Ranta on the loose puck. Justin Schultz is there as well. Connor Sheary tries to dig it free. Instead, it's Sampo Ranta using his stick blade and his skates to try and grind it down to the goal line. Played back to the right point where Eric Johnson kept it alive, and now in deep it's Martin Kaut. Winds it around to the left point as he was hoping for McDermott. He couldn't keep it alive. And now stepping down the ice with a soft wrist shot that rolls wide. Shot from the half boards by Strong was steered aside by Kemper. Now Tyson Jost the other way. And 15 to go in the second period. Rantanen couldn't control along the goal line, and now a step with speed down the right wing for Sprong. Lost his footing. Loose at the Colorado line, gathered by Jost. He will hand it off to McKinnon, and Colorado is offsides with a minute even to go in the period.
NHLShop.com, the official online store of the NHL and the world's largest selection of officially licensed NHL fan gear. Shop now and get today's special offer. NHLShop.com, a Fanatics experience.
So Anthony Mantha, the 100th goal of his career, traded by Detroit to Washington last April. He was the Red Wings' leading scorer at the time of the trade, only had 11 goals and 10 assists. So it's a rebuild right now for the Detroit Red Wings. There's no question.
There's been a couple of tough teams there, but they've, you know, Steve Yzerman, no question, will get that team turned around sooner rather than later. He's the guy to do it. You know, you think of milestones. Ovechkin, 1,200th game tonight. Garnet Hathaway playing his 300th game.
And a little pushing and shoving after the whistle.
Right in the middle of it, and that's one thing I feel like the Capitals have done is they've really smothered the Stars so far of Colorado, and especially their defense. You know, they get a ton of points from their defense. They had 2 goals, 4 assists coming into this game, and they really haven't been able to activate too much. And you're starting to see a little bit of frustration there. You know, watching Nathan McKinnon this morning, though, at practice, you know, he was amped up. You know, he lost an edge and went into boards. It was a bit of a scary moment, but every shot was kind of going wide. He was just so excited to be playing his first game for his team. You know, he was out with COVID, but he didn't have any symptoms, and that's got to be the frustrating part. You feel like, you know, is it a false positive? What's going on? But you could tell just watching him this morning how amped he was.
Well, the McKinnon line with Burakovsky and Rantanen are a -3 so far in the game tonight. So they'll need more production out of them. And we'll see if Colorado can mount a third period comeback. But it is a 4-2 lead for the Capitals after 2 periods of play. Time to head back to the studio with Mark Messier and Chris Chelios. Let's say hi once again to Steve Levy. Steve.
Thank you, Bob. Coming up on the Discover second intermission report, we got highlights from around the league. It's a crazy night. And the Kraken getting fired up for their home opener. That's next. And away we go. Steve Levy with Mark Messier and Chris Chelios. We were wondering where was the Avalanche fire in that first period. Completely outplayed by the Capitals. Colorado able to come back with a couple of their own to tie the game where the Caps tacked on 2. What about the Avs in that second period?
Much better push. I mean, after having a flat period there and Washington was all over them, outshot them 15-5. They came back and get that shorty, and then they get that second goal to tie it up. But then you see Washington spend a lot of time in their zone still. It wears on you. They wear them down, and then you see that shift where Kuznetsov eventually, you know, they go ahead with that goal. I don't know how long they had the puck, Washington, but long enough to wear it on the Capitals. And what a great shot, far side for Kuznetsov.
Kuznetsov has 17 career multi-goal games, just had one of those last season. What about that for you?
Again, dominant. That whole line's been dominant. That's a load for any defense in the league to handle. You can see this whole shift here where it just cycle after cycle after cycle and puck control. Ovechkin, Wilson, two of the biggest, strongest players in the league that possess the skill to go along with Kuznetsov, and then he gets it here on open ice. Defenders are tired, and just a beautiful goal.
Feeling good about themselves so far tonight in our nation's capital. We're not all about goals and assists and great saves. Want to show you some action from the Kraken game in New Jersey tonight. And Jack Hughes is a very important player for the New Jersey Devils. And he's going to take a big hit from Jeremy Lauzon there. And you can see right away, Hughes in heavy discomfort. Looks like we think it might be a shoulder.
Shoulder when he hit the ice, but it's just hard to see how he eventually got him off the ice initially to get him to come up in the air like that. And then you see the retaliation here.
That's Mason Gertson, 6th in penalty minutes in the AHL a couple seasons ago. Couple of big boys scrapping, sending the old message.
Gertson doing his job, protecting his players, but unfortunately you can have King Kong and Godzilla in the lineup, and a guy like Jeremy Lauzon is not going to back away. He plays the game hard. He's a rugged defenseman that could play on my team any day.
Sounds good. Around the NHL, that's Brandon Montour letting it go.
Short side there.
Like
shot, yeah, Vasilevsky's out too a little bit there, but what a great shot.
Jets in the Wild. And we'll say hi to Kyle Connor. Had himself a period from the angle. That's not a great goal.
That's not a great goal, but that's a great release and a quick release there. And looks like it might have a little deflection off the defenseman's stick there that might have fooled the goaltender a little bit. So we're just giving the benefit of the doubt there.
Captain got it. And then the one-time blast.
This is what he does. He shoots the puck. He can shoot the puck from anywhere. He's a great hockey player.
Every single one of these games on ESPN Plus. Get it as part of your package again. We're on ESPN Plus right now, so if I'm telling you, you already know. So tell your friends. You guys have the bundle, right? Tell me you have the
tickets
bundle.
from Ray Ferraro, right?
You got the bundle. You got the family bundle.
I understand. Jelio's got the bundle on his computer. You know what? The highlight of my day is watching these guys try to figure out their travel expenses. That's hysterical.
Happen, yeah.
All right, how about the Devils? And, it's early in the season. You want to send a message, right? You got to take care of some of your better players. Listen, the game has gotten softer. We'll use that word over the years, but there's still a place for that in the game.
Yeah, I mean, again, you hate to see it happen to anybody, especially your star player in Hughes. That's regular season. I mean, he was just finishing a check. The difference was the size of Hughes and the size of the defenseman that came in and put him in the corner. And like I said, I don't know how he got him in the air like that. I mean,
Lauzon just plays a hard game. He's going to play a hard game against anybody. It doesn't matter who's in the lineup, like I said. But unfortunate there, that size difference there. And when he got him off the ice and came down on his shoulder, he probably separated a slight separation. Hopefully he's not out long because, like I said, I'm really expecting Hughes to have a breakout season this year. Super talented hockey player and a great kid, great family.
Bruins didn't want to hang on to Lauzon. They couldn't use that guy like that?
I think they had to throw somebody. I'd take him any day.
He seems like the perfect Boston Bruin, too. Our intermission activities will continue. 4-2 in favor of the Capitals. Showed you the visiting locker room last intermission. Little different when you're on the home side. Alex Ovechkin's home.
This second intermission report is presented by Discover, the official card of the NHL.
Around the league later this week on Friday, Brad Marchand and the Boston Bruins travel to Buffalo, take on the Sabres, 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. Also on Friday, Drew Doughty and the Kings take on the Dallas Stars, 8:30 Eastern on ESPN+ as well. And then Saturday, buckle up, the Seattle Kraken play their first ever home game. They'll host the Vancouver Canucks, 10 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+.
Expansion teams aren't supposed to have a snowball's chance in hell, but then again, you've got an ice hockey team thriving in the deserts.
The Knights are going to the Stanley Cup Final!
I don't know if you heard there's hockey coming back to Seattle.
Expectations are high because of what the Golden Knights did 4 years ago.
Any pressure at all for you guys based on what Vegas was able to do.
We're definitely going to get that comparison because obviously they came in, with 4 years ago and had so much success. But I like to think that we're going to write our own script.
First season, new guys, new team. There's going to be some growing pain too as well. I think once we figure it out, I think it's going to be awesome. We are not there to go through the motions and just to play the game. We're there to win a Stanley Cup and bring a cup back to the city. That's the goal.
And if you'd like tickets to attend this game, don't call me. I don't have any tickets. I gave all of mine to Ray Ferraro. Feel free to reach out to Ray for that. According to Vivid Seats, the average ticket price sold so far for this game is $601. That is by far the highest average ticket sold for an NHL regular season game since at least 2010. And that includes games like the Winter Classic. Wow. You've been watching the Discover Second Intermission Report. Stay tuned for third period action. The Avalanche and Capitals coming right up.
For Washington over Colorado as ESPN Plus Hockey Night presented by New Amsterdam Vodka continues alongside Cassie Campbell-Pascal. I'm Bob Wischusen, set for the start of the third period. And so far for the Capitals, it's been 2 periods of teach tape of how you play Colorado.
Well, really smart. Even in the offensive zone for Washington, they're staying above the Avalanche. How many times have we seen McKinnon go from his end to the other end, which is his typical performance? Maybe once. And that's because they're playing so smart defensively. Even in the offensive zone, they're playing a hard forecheck game. And really, they've played a perfect game as far as what you need to do against the Avalanche.
And when they have attacked offensively, Evgeny Kuznetsov has put the puck in the back of the net.
Yeah, he really has. Obviously such an offensive player playing in that position that sometimes you see Nick Backstrom playing in, but really smart and patient. But look at the room that they're able to create in the offensive zone simply because they've been able to get on the forecheck. They're moving the puck from high to low. It's interesting. You look at the player comparison between Nate McKinnon and Alexander Ovechkin. Ovechkin just the 12 shifts. And you're thinking, hey, he should be playing a little bit more. Remember, just prior to game number 1, he was banged up. You were unsure if he was actually going to play in that game. So I think this is a little bit of management by Peter Laviolette. They're up 4-2. I'm curious to see if McKinnon starts to get more ice time here in the third.
And maybe you do, as the season goes on with wear and tear, guard against that wear and tear on a player the age of Alexander Ovechkin. There have also been so many important injuries early this season, as that shot from a hard angle by Hathaway is steered aside by Kemper. Pacioretty and Stone, obviously, in Vegas. And now we're going to probably spend as Orlov backhands one in on Kemper. That's turned aside. Pressure by the Caps here at the start of this period. Jensen's shot. Hard angle rebound is put in. Nick Dowd scores from right along the goal line. Off the wrister rebound from Nick Jensen. And just like that, to start the third period, the Capitals open up a 5-2 lead.
And, this line right from the get-go has been such a factor for the Washington Capitals. Peter Laviolette starts them, rewards his fourth line. Look at the traffic in front by Garnet Hathaway. Kemper comes out to play it. So in case Hathaway gets the tip, it's going to go right into his body, but then he's unable to recover as the rebound goes to his right. He doesn't see Dowd coming from behind the net, and it's a beautiful finish by Dowd. That fourth line has been absolutely excellent for Washington.
A 3-goal advantage now. 39 seconds into the period. Rolling is Eric Johnson for Colorado. Now they're going to have to get pucks to the net. Samsonov stopped Johnson, and on the wheel around rebound try. Johnson's second attempt is covered up by Samsonov.
You go back to that Washington Capitals fourth line. Who have they been doing it against as well? Well, the top line for Colorado and Nathan McKinnon's line. This is a beautiful save by Samsonov because Eric Johnson kind of gets lost in behind the net as the defensemen start to join the rush for Colorado. And Samsonov does a nice job just extending the left leg, getting to that post as quickly as possible to make that last save.
JT Compher wins the draw. That drive by Eric Johnson blocked on its way in. That hit Anthony Mantha. He blocks the shot. A little slow coming down ice. That one shook him up. Wilson with a long stretch opportunity that turns into icing. Avalanche was there. Wednesday night NHL on TNT. Tomorrow night, the doubleheader. The Bruins and Flyers start things at 7:30 Eastern, and the Blues and Vegas Golden Knights at 10 p.m. And then we on ESPN Plus will have the Bruins on our air, part of 2 games on Friday night, exclusively on ESPN Plus. Bruins Sabres at 7, Kings Stars at 8:30.
One of the things Jared Bednar wanted to work on as he's had some of his top-end guys out of the lineup is the defensive zone structure. And he's going to have a lot of video to show that simply haven't been good in the defensive zone at all. The battle level hasn't been high. And, you know, that's one thing Colorado has to do a better job of is they have so many offensive stars, but they've got to learn to play games where it's just 1-0, where they can't just rely on their offense. They need to play good defense as well in order to win down the road in the playoffs when it matters most.
39 seconds. The goal down is first from Jensen and Hagelin to make this a 3-goal advantage. Here's Kuznetsov to Ovechkin down the wing. Tries to drag it past Ryan Murray, but Murray was able to stop it with the skates. Back the other way come the Avalanche. Jensen wheels behind his own net. Feathers one off the right wing wall. Ends up behind the net where it's chased by Connor McMichael. Sheary to McMichael. McMichael able to steal it back. Gets it back to the point. Long shot, and that's deflected in on net. Jensen's shot was tipped down by Oshie and covered up by Kemper. That was a tough one to handle.
How about Nick Jensen this evening as well? He's had a really good hockey game for the Washington Capitals. A goal now, an assist, but nice job just getting that shot off, getting some traffic, as you mentioned, Bob, and Kemper had to be smart on that one. Just good position.
Crowd here in Washington being alerted to the fact that Mantha's goal back in the second period was the 100th of his career. And some of the biggest names for Colorado have had tough nights. McKinnon a -4, Burakovsky a -3, Rantanen a -4. When your top line is not equaling the production of the top line of the opposition. That has been the story tonight as Oshie slides one. Here leads it back. Caroms into the left wing corner. Rantanen, center ice. Angles one in. Looking for the defenseman Eric Johnson. He turned it over to Oshie. And here is Sheary. He'll send it hard around and go off for a chance.
You know, right when Colorado has tried to engage physically against the Caps tonight, they just haven't won those battles. And that becomes even more frustrating. You're trying to get in there, make the big hit, win those one-on-one battles, and you're not having success. It just kind of adds to that frustration level that you're feeling.
Aravari swings one to Carlson, right point. Now Eller on the backhand, hoping for Carlson, who was wheeling back to his defensive position. Daniel Sprong in on the forecheck. Was not able to beat Girard to the puck. He backhands one through center ice. Putting the brakes on. And forcing one deep is Ryan Murray. And now Colorado will change. Washington will follow suit. Coming up on 4.5 minutes gone by in the third period. And we'd have to say the Caps have been every bit as dominant for most of this game as the scoreboard would lead you to believe with a 3-goal lead.
Without question. This is one of those scoreboards right now that is just tells you the story. I mean, it's been a dominant performance.
Across the line, Sampo Ranta puts the brakes on along the half boards. And he now squares off, and penalties will now be called as he comes together with Tom Wilson. And Wilson may get the cross-check retaliation after the initial collision with Sampo Ranta. This is also a point of emphasis this year in the National Hockey League, as they are trying to get cross-checking emphasized and cut down upon.
Yeah, and you can see Wilson's upset because he feels there was an elbow by Rant up to the chin area. He goes right back at him with the cross-check. And the Kucherov incident, right, last year in the playoffs against the New York Islanders, that was some crackdown. I know Connor McDavid talked about it at the start of the season, that he would like to see a little bit more before they actually ended up announcing it. And we were fortunate to see a video of just how they were going to crack down on those cross-checks, and especially to vulnerable areas, you know, that kidney area right above the pants.
Let's see if the Avalanche can get something going on the power play. They are 0 for 2 with 2 shots. There are 2 opportunities so far. Gerard right point. There's a Kadri along the half boards. Gets it down low, and that one-touch opportunity on the heel of the stick of Mark Kaplan. Beneath the goal line. Getting knocked to the ice is Maltsev. He's back up underneath Hagelin. Hagelin working over Mikhail Maltsev. The puck still loose. Maltsev has it between his skates. And now finally gets up on his feet. And the battle continues in the far right wing corner. And now, after all of that, another penalty is being called.
I think it's another cross-check.
And this time it will be Nazem Kadri that will head to the box.
91, Colorado, 2 minutes cross-checking.
Point of emphasis.
Yeah.
We're seeing it.
And it's a battle in the corner where you've got 3 or 4 players and they're just battling for the puck. You've got a player down in Maltsev. There you can see Kadri, just a little extra cross-check to the back of Jensen. And he's getting cross-checked as well. Sorry, that's Kaut right there. He's getting cross-checked by Van Riemsdyk. And then that one right there, that's the one where you're close to the boards, a dangerous cross-check on the back of Hagelin. But there was a few in that pile, and that's what you'd see. It scrums all the time as guys are battling for the puck in the corner and they let them play.
So now we'll skate another minute and 10 seconds of 4-on-4, and then it will be 41 seconds of power play time for the Capitals on the back end. Mikko Rantanen skates it deep. Moves in behind the net, puts the brakes on, and comes together with Faravari. Dug free by Carlson. Plays to his defensive partner, Faravari. And the rookie ahead to Kuznetsov. Out to Ovechkin. Stick goes flying as Rantanen tried a reach-around poke check, and his stick basically went the length of the ice. Moving in, Copper. Wrist shot. Chest save made by Samsonov. Puck loose behind the net, and Kuznetsov skates it free. Down to 25 seconds left in 4-on-4 time, and then it'll be a brief Washington power play. Here's Lars Eller. Steps to center. Across the Colorado line. Turns it over. Gerard chops it free. Eller tried to pick his pocket. Instead, it will be Eric Johnson the other way. Plays it deep. Here's McKinnon. Swipes one through the crease. Ends up with the puck back. One touch between the circles, turned over, and out of the box comes Tom Wilson. Power play now on briefly for the Caps as Eller sets up shop in the left wing corner. 30 seconds to go on the power play. Eller moves in, and a soft shot, maybe hoping for Wilson in front, is gloved down by Darcy Kemper. So Rantanen has to make sure that the stick's okay.
You know, Rantanen almost had a good opportunity for checking in the neutral zone here. You can see he just reaches out, and if he gets that puck, he's going to be gone, potentially in a 2-on-1, but his stick goes completely to the other end of the rink, so there's no offensive opportunity there. And actually, that stick ended up playing a little bit of a defensive role to slow down Lars Eller on the last Washington Capitals opportunity.
We wanted you to show that just because it was cool looking. Sometimes
you don't see it go that
cool.
far very often. That went like 3 zones.
So here's Kuznetsov on the draw with JT Compher, won by Compher. Still 23 seconds to go on the Washington power play. And Compher will ram the puck off the right wing half boards and all the way down.
It's kind of been indicative, though, of Colorado Avalanche's night, isn't it? It could have been a 2-on-1 instead of stick goes down to the other end of the ice.
Kuznetsov looking for the hat trick. A sneaky wrist shot that Kemper was able to turn aside. Straight away is Carlson. Along the half boards to Kuznetsov. Looking for Ovechkin backdoor. And that pass just deflected away. Out in front once again. Here is Ovechkin. Banks one out in front, and that's flipped just up and over the top of the net. Ovechkin almost picked up an assist. Mantha was right on the doorstep looking for his second goal of the night. Here is Mantha banking one and getting a return. We're back at 5 aside. 8 minutes gone by in the third period. Gerard, a neutral zone pass to Kaut. He has it taken away. Now Van Riemsdyk. Slides one to Justin Schultz. Schultz through center. Angles one in, hoping for Hagelin. Followed up by Nick Dowd. Hagelin now deep in the left wing corner along the goal line to Dowd. Dowd will backhand one all the way around to the right point. One touched by Jensen back up high, but it's a turnover. But missing on the outlet pass was Kaut, and now it will be Kaut and Maltsev going off for a change.
You know, there's been some incidents where the Caps keep the Avalanche in their zone for such a long time. That's an example there where Eric Johnson just late in his shift just misses a pass ever so slightly that could lead to an offensive opportunity, but the forecheck of the Caps has been relentless.
Logan O'Connor comes together with Dmitry Orlov. Eller there as well. Back to the right point, moving in with a wrist shot was Cole McCarr, and that was blockered away by Samsonov. And now a hustle play to tip it out to neutral ice. Again, Connor Sheary. Taken right back across the Washington line by Colorado, and again, looking for the loose puck was help. Behind the net, JT Compher. Into the boards by Dmitry Orlov. Sheary in center, feathers one deep, and that will be gloved down by Kemper, and he will hold on midway through the third period. A 3-goal lead and an impressive performance by the Washington Capitals. New Amsterdam vodka, the official vodka of the NHL. Drink responsibly. 2 of the 5 Washington Capital goals tonight scored by Evgeny Kuznetsov. Nick Dowd got into the act as well, and you can see the patch job they had to do. Just to the left of the lip of Jack Johnson. He took a puck to the mouth up underneath the shield back in the second period, but he's a hockey player.
Yeah, little Halloween early costume there by the looks of things. Garnet Hathaway, just a deflection trying to get it deep into the zone, and deflects right up into Jack Johnson. Good to see him though back and able to play.
Orlov sends it in. I remember being at a Devils game back in the 90s. Ken Danico took a puck to the mouth. And I remember them making the announcement in the press box that Ken Danico has lost 3 teeth, 2 more have been cracked, and nerves have been exposed. He'll be back out for the start of the third period. Let's head back to Linden.
Linda Cohn in the studio. How about the Buffalo Sabres looking to stay unbeaten? Jeff Skinner, the goal of the night, part of 3 unanswered goals by the Sabres. They're up 4-2 late in the third, looking to go to 3-0, Bob.
Linda, who would have seen an undefeated start to the season for the Buffalo Sabres, considering all of the drama surrounding that organization? When will they make that trade? Will they make that trade?
I have no idea, but it needs to happen soon. You know, we need to see Jack Eichel on the ice. That's the bottom line. We need the star power of a Jack Eichel, and I know he has some surgery that he'll have to go through no matter if he's traded or not, but it's so unfortunate that a superstar player like Jack Eichel is not playing. I know his agents are looking at different opinions and trying to figure out what's best and the surgery that he particularly wants. And so they're trying to do their job, and it's just a shame that the medical community on both sides just can't come together and do what's best for the health of the player. I guess that's the dilemma.
And these are years, especially as young as you still are in the career of Jack Eichel, you don't get these years back.
And by no means am I blaming anyone on the medical side, of course. I mean, they're all looking at the same things, but at some point, someone has to agree what needs to be done and get it done.
And Riemsdyk loses an edge, gets back up on his skate blades and tries to center one, but it caroms all the way back down to the Washington line. Gathered by Sheary and drops one off. Connor McMichael. Outlet pass deflected. Taken right back across the line by Colorado. That shot by Helm. Blocked away by Van Riemsdyk. Helm now in the right wing corner. Back to the point, McCarr. His shot off the lively inboards, almost knocked home on the rebound by Helm, and here comes TJ Oshie. But he was stopped and neutralized by Logan O'Connor. O'Connor with a wrist shot, gobbled up by Ilya Samsonov, who has been very solid when called upon tonight for Washington.
Please visit fundamentalfoundation.org/5050 to find out how to claim your prize of $2,625. Congratulations and thank you to everyone who participated. Here is tonight's Coiled Light, settling up the game, courtesy of
As we take a look at tonight's 3 stars of the game, brought to you by New Amsterdam Vodka, and it has been a terrific night for Evgeny Kuznetsov.
Yeah, it has, and no surprise that the 3 stars come from the Washington Capitals. If they've dominated from start to finish, Kuznetsov, Nick Jensen with a goal and an assist, he's been excellent, and Anthony Mantha, big celebration for his 100th career goal.
Colorado still trying to get their team together. It's McCarr with a wrist shot, stopped again by Samsonov. They just get Nathan McKinnon back on short notice tonight. Needed 2 negative COVID tests and got those 2 negative COVID tests. Here he is along the goal line, beating one behind the net for Kadri. Comes back up high, rolls off the stick of McCarr. His soft shot blocked. And Jensen will track it down. Poked out to the point, but not out. Kept alive by Rantanen. He'll move in. Wrist shot. That hit the post. Mikko Rantanen almost lit the lamp, and now we have a penalty called behind the play as Samsonov ended up flat on his back. A collision in front after Rantanen either hit the post or the crossbar. And it looks like it will be McKinnon that goes to the box.
Number 29, Colorado, minor penalty, goaltender interference.
And this is one of those calls on Nathan McKinnon where you're just driving the net. He recognizes the shot from Rantanen that goes right here. It actually beats Samsonov, but then McKinnon loses where he is. You know, he's kind of skating backwards towards the goaltender, doesn't realize he's as close to Samsonov as he is, and this is the right call. What a shot, though, by Rantanen.
The only goal that's been scored tonight when Washington has been on the power play was the shorthanded goal by JT Compher. That was the first of the night for Colorado. And now Carlson will track down the loose puck along with Ovechkin back in their end.
You know, this is one of those moments, though, for Alexander Ovechkin where, you know, it maybe hasn't been one of his better nights, but you are trying to chase a record. You're on the power play. You're playing a team. You're up 5-2. That this is one of those opportunities where maybe you can get a little bit closer. That's kind of got to be the team's motivation at this point as well. Get your power play better and get the star going. Get another goal.
Kuznetsov in the corner. Straight away to Carlson. Wrist shot blocked. Tracked down by Ovechkin. Hard around to Kuznetsov. To Carlson and gets a return. Kuznetsov moves in. Wrist shot. That's stopped by Kemper. Right back to Kuznetsov on the rebound. Carlson. Kuznetsov. Flips to Oshie. One touch to Carlson. Straight away. Take the shot. Look for the one-timer by Kuznetsov. And he shanked it to the corner. Still has it, though, midway through the power play. Carlson. Kuznetsov for the hat trick. Wrist shot. That was blocked. Open out of play by Jack Johnson.
And Kuznetsov wide open on that other side. A lot of freedom, a lot of movement, because the concentration really is on Alexander Ovechkin. You know, that left circle, we talked about it off the top of the show. And all the attention for Colorado just goes to him. You know, the head swivel, the stick is in that lane, and it just opens up time and space for Kuznetsov on the other side.
You mentioned it, over the last 4 years, from the left wing face-off circle, Ovechkin has 86 goals. That's 23 more than the next most scored by that any other player in the National Hockey League from that same spot. He is just lethal from that left face-off dot. And here he is along the half boards, keeping the power play alive. 30 seconds remaining. It's around the shelf, tapped deep by Daniel Sprong. Leading his way out front, passing up was Wilson, sets up Ovechkin for the shot. And there is another stop by Darcy Kemper.
On cue, right there from that left circle. And his ability to get the shot through. You know, so many times as a penalty kill, you want to block it, and it's impossible. He has this ability to change the lane and the angle in a split second.
McKinnon out of the box. The power play is over. 5 minutes and 15 seconds to go. Here's Tom Wilson toe dragging. That hit the post. Sneaky wrist shot from Tom Wilson. Almost snuck by Kemper. Lars Eller being pinned along the half boards. Jack Johnson able to outlet. Mikhail Maltsev, his shot deflected up and out of play. Under 5 minutes to go. 3-goal lead for the Caps.
Colorado Avalanche, and they've really just been out of sorts, if you will. You can see bumping into each other. When you see a stick go flying this far, where Rantanen could have had a 2-on-1 opportunity. This a really unfortunate incident that ended up being fortunate because it was just stitches, and a deflected puck didn't get into the eye of Jack Johnson, but it's just been one of those nights. And this gentleman right here is happy because that light's been going 5 times this evening.
Along with Cassie Campbell-Pascal, Bob Wischusen. Hockey night on ESPN Plus, a Tuesday night from Washington, D.C. And next Tuesday night, you and I will be together again. Nashville, San Jose. Down in Predators World. I'm interested to see Nashville.
Yeah, me too.
Tell me what you think, just kind of wide-angle lens about their chances this year.
Well, I love their Twitter feed. You know, they make fun of themselves, and you know how they gave the Kraken their first win. You know, I like the Ekholm signing. I'm glad they were able to keep him there. I think he's a key cornerstone piece of that franchise. And David Poole, he mentioned, actually Ekholm mentioned that David Poole today, I was never going to trade you. And, you know, he knew he was always going to be a Pred and stay there and sign. There was a lot of rumors that he was going to be on the move at the trade deadline last year, but I think that's a good signing there. And I'll tell you, I saw San Jose the other night, and they're better than I think people think they're going to be.
Terrific hustle with an empty net. And a penalty is called, and they waved the goal away as Garnet Hathaway came in, and they get called for slashing on his attempt to take the puck away and score on the empty net.
Number 21, Washington, minor penalty, slashing.
So Jared Bednar, down by 3 with 4.5 minutes to go, pulls the goaltender.
And the crowd,
there's the slash.
Yeah, the crowd doesn't like the call, but it is the right call. You can see not just one slash, but actually 2. You know, it's interesting though. Then Garnet Hathaway out, 4th line Nick Dowd, Carl Hagelin out, defensive zone face-off against McKinnon. 4.5 minutes left. I mean, Peter Laviolette trusts these guys or what?
Now 6 on 4 as the net remains empty for Colorado, and now they've got the power play. Comper wins the draw. Carr at the point. Gets a return. Top of the right wing circle, Rantanen. Rantanen along the goal line, trying to touch it between the legs was Kadri, and he just missed, turned aside by Samsonov. Eller after it. Kadri taking hits behind the net from Jensen. Still controlled by Colorado, moving in. Makar, that's stopped by Samsonov. Tom Wilson can't clear. Right wing face-off dot Rantanen. Makar sets up a one-timer, another save by Samsonov as he's able to stone McKinnon, and the Caps able to shoot it down. Carr will leave for McKinnon. Nathan McKinnon gets it across the line, hands it off to Rantanen, looking for a return. Tries to cycle one deep and does get it behind the net. Banked back to Burakovsky, left point. Straight away Makar, wrist shot, gobbled up by Samsonov again. Boy, what a nice problem it would be for Peter Laviolette if he has to decide on a nightly basis between Ilya Samsonov and Vitek Vanacek, and they're both playing well.
Yeah, and really he put Samsonov in tonight because he felt like he didn't want him to sit too long. You know, Vanacek had been playing so well and really outcompeted, if you will, Samsonov. You know, visually you can see the competitiveness come out in Samsonov, and I think that's what Peter Laviolette wants, visually, to show me you're competitive, to show me you're going to be consistent, because I really think he has the chance to be the #1 guy here.
The NHL's newest franchise.
The Kraken on the board. Right place, right time. Release the Kraken!
I hope we get a trip to Seattle this year, as we said earlier.
Yeah.
I would like to go out and experience that atmosphere. We'll get a chance to see Nashville up close and personal. Las Vegas is a great experience as well. Some of the new teams provide the best experiences, and the Vanacek-Samsonov debate would be a nice one for Peter Laviolette to have.
You know, you think Vanacek got an opportunity last year because Samsonov had an injury, but he also was on COVID protocols twice during the season, and that allowed Vanacek to come in and sort of take things over. And then Samsonov had the gap in game #2 versus Boston that didn't go over very well with his teammates. But this is a competition here, there's no question about it. Neither guy wants to give up that #1 position, but right now I think it's Vanacek's to lose.
Well, both need better than they were last season. Since the start of last season, Vanacek's save percentage number 27 in the National Hockey League, and Samsonov number 40. So if you're going to win the Stanley Cup, you gotta have better than that. There's a one-timer on the power play, and a goal for Mikko Rantanen. And with 3:06 to go, Colorado pulls the goaltender, 6-on-4. It pays off, and they've cut the lead to 5-3.
Samsonov not happy with himself, but watch this pass by McKinnon. I mean, he looks like he is going to come down the middle of the ice and shoot that puck. Samsonov stays with him, and then all of a sudden just slides it over to Rantanen with a perfect shot. But I think Samsonov's mad because his glove drops and he doesn't get it in position, as we look at Kemper getting his mask back on and go back in for the draw at center ice, taking his time, allowing the main guys to rest just a few extra seconds as well.
Colorado using their timeout well as they got their top line back out there. And we'll keep our eyes on Darcy Kemper and see how quickly he heads back to the bench, now down by 2. Tom Wilson across the line. His shot steered aside by Kemper. And Kemper looking over to the bench. There he goes. Net empty once again. And what is now a 2-goal game. Aravari hits the puck along the wall. Battling with Rantanen. Burakovsky trying to dig it free as well. He's got it. Back to the point. Makar, wrist shot through traffic. Did not get through to Samsonov. And now taking a length of the ice. Shot at the empty net. And it will be icing, so it will come all the way back down to the Capitals' end. But Aravari missed.
And I'm okay with that because they're up by 2 goals. It was actually Kuznetsov going for the hat trick. And why not? You know, a 1-goal game, I wouldn't really like that play. I'd like it just pushed into the neutral zone, but 2 goals, it's not so bad.
Kadri and Kuznetsov on the draw. And there is the long shot, and it's in for Alex Ovechkin. An empty net goal for Ovechkin, as he has already, in the first 3 games this season, lit the lamp 4 times. And one more small step towards the top of Mount Gretzky, which you know is his ultimate goal.
Well, this is all just about a defensive zone face-off won by committee. Kuznetsov goes down on his knee. Tom Wilson comes from inside, helps out, recognizes Ovechkin's open. There you see 734, 5th most in NHL history. And
Just past Marcel Dion to start off this NHL season. And Alexander Ovechkin now with Brett Hull in his sights. Ultimately wondering if he will break. I mean, any of Wayne Gretzky's records seemed unbreakable when he set them. But if there's any player that can do it, it's Alex Ovechkin.
Yeah, I really think he's going to do it. You know, as long as he can stay healthy, knock on wood, and I'm doing that right now. I think there's a huge opportunity for him.
I heard Wayne Gretzky talking about Ovechkin on opening night, and he was just so, as Wayne Gretzky always is, wonderful in his praise of Ovechkin, and basically saying he's a magnificent player, and I hope he breaks my record.
Well, and he was saying it's good for the game, right? This generation gets an opportunity to see arguably someone who has the potential to be the greatest goal scorer of all time. And always so classy, Wayne Gretzky. You know he's competitive, though, and you know he doesn't want any of his records broken, but he also understands the big picture of the game of hockey and the growth and how important Alexander Ovechkin has been to that.
Down to the final minute. And now a whistle and a stoppage. And will Alex Ovechkin eventually break the record of Wayne Gretzky? It takes a moment to take these numbers in, but we kind of broke it down what his goals per game pace would have to be in order to reach Gretzky. You know, if it was, say, 0.4 of a goal, half a goal a game. His current career pace is just over 0.6 of a goal per game. Well, if he keeps that pace up, 266 games from now, he would do it.
That's just incredible stats work by our group. You know, the potential of what ifs. You see 3 different scenarios there, and when you see it like that, it doesn't seem so far off. You know, that's what, 4 seasons potentially.
And he is also shooting the puck this year at a much higher rate per game than he has in the last 8 to 10 years as well. So the scoring chances for Ovechkin, at least through these first 3 games, have piled up. Out of the last 30 seconds. The puck is floated back out to neutral ice, and the crowd here in Washington starts to show their appreciation for the Washington Capitals. A dominant performance. 2 goals. Evgeny Kuznetsov. An empty netter to cap it for Alex Ovechkin. One last opportunity. Samsonov is able to steer aside that Logan O'Connor wrister, and that will end it. It is a 3-goal win for the Washington Capitals. 6-3 your final over the Colorado Avalanche. Welcome you to the Verizon postgame. Is your final. Washington over Colorado. And Ilya Samsonov getting his first opportunity to play, bolstered by 2 Kuznetsov goals. And he was able to turn aside 24 of the 27 shots that Colorado put on net.
Well, Washington really happy with how they played this game, staying above the Colorado Avalanche players. Good defensive game. They were hard in on the forecheck. And a little shout out to the Nick Dowd line as well, who I thought were terrific in that one-on-one matchup with Nathan McKinnon's line. They really shut them down and made them hard to play against.
And now we've got the 3 stars of the game. Anthony Mantha scoring his 100th career goal tonight. A goal and an assist for Nick Jensen. Now keep in mind, we came up with our own 3 stars with about, 5 to 7 minutes to go in the game. Anthony Mantha was our third star.
We're mind readers.
Nick Jensen was our second star. And the first star of the game, no surprise, I'm sure, 2 goals for Evgeny Kuznetsov. You know, if this team stays healthy, they could be dangerous.
Really, and now Peter Laviolette has 2 goaltenders that I think he can trust.
Very important.
At the start of the season, maybe Samsonov wasn't necessarily 100% the guy that Peter Laviolette could trust, but I think he gained some trust tonight. I thought he played really well, was competitive, and this is a good hockey team.
And I believe Evgeny Kuznetsov is now joining us down on the ice. It's Bob Wischusen and Cassie Campbell-Pascal. Evgeny, congratulations. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Your team getting off to a really good start, your chemistry as well with that top line. How do you assess the early progress that your group has made?
I mean, we've been working hard all summer, and very important for us, those 3 home games, and, early in the year, you have to get those points, because end of the year, that's the points going to be matter. And I like the way we stay disciplined. I like the way we share in the puck, and overall game, it's pretty excited to play.
Kuznetsov, Evgeny, as a group, how were you guys able to shut down the Nathan MacKinnon line?
Yeah, I mean, he's in a tough situation. He haven't skated for a long time. I've been there before, and it's not easy to come back like that. And he did look good today. I'll be honest with you. And they have a good team, but they get a little bit unlucky, I think, and especially those second 10 minutes in the second period was very important. That's when we take control of that game.
And Evgeny, what's it like playing in front of fans again? The energy in the buildings now that the National Hockey League is back and the crowd is able to be here to see you play.
Yeah, that's huge. I'm finally can play in front of my daughter and in front of my wife, and parents can watch the hockey, like real hockey. That's everything for us. That's life. Last year was sucks for us.
Yeah, I'm glad your family watched it. My wife was calling me during the game. I don't think anybody was watching me call this game from home.
Yeah, this game was in ESPN Plus, right?
There you go.
Yeah, I've been told to say that, so.
Excellent promo. That is tremendous. Thanks so much for doing that. That's a walk-off. You can't do better than that. All right, Evgeny Kuznetsov. I think we may have to, drop a little slide a check into his mailbox for the promo. We appreciate it.
I hope he lets his daughter play hockey, too, if she doesn't already play. That'd be great.
Oh, that is so good. Well, let's check our X Factor, brought to you by EA Sports NHL 22, and it is the 2 Kuznetsov goals.
Yeah, beautiful pass by John Carlson, but 1-on-3 here, and you can tell he just puts the puck in his space, uses his speed, and then his typical Evgeny Kuznetsov celebration. You see it once, and then you see it twice, and look at the time and the space that he gets on this goal. And if he gets that much room, he's going to make other teams pay.
Let's take a look at what's ahead for both of these teams. Colorado, look, they are banged up. We've talked about that. Now they're going to get Gabe Landeskog back off of the suspension. That will really help them. But they're still without some key pieces. When you are an odds-on favorite, you're thinking President's Trophy, you're thinking #1 overall seed, you do not want to fall too deep in a hole to start the season. And they have 2 really tough games left on this road trip heading down to Florida.
Well, at the same time, though, you don't want to panic. It's early in the season, and I think if you're the coaching staff led by Jared Bednar, you've got a lot of video to show to say, guys, we need to be better defensively. We need to be ready to play on every single night. And I think getting their captain back, he's really the heart and soul of their team. He plays such a 2-way game, and I think Nathan MacKinnon needs him. He needs his leadership to bring his game to the level that we're all used to seeing it. And so that's going to be a welcome sight for the Colorado Avalanche when he's able to play in the next game.
And the Capitals are waiting for Nick Backstrom to come back as well. He's back on the ice, starting to move in the right direction, but his return date is not set. This is the next 5 for the Washington Capitals. They head up to the Prudential Center in Newark on Thursday.
Yeah, I'll be fortunate enough to do the game on Saturday as the Calgary Flames come into town. You can see little short trips, New Jersey, Ottawa, so nothing too taxing as far as from a travel perspective for Washington, but they've got to be really happy with their start so far. They've played some really tough teams, and this was a big win tonight. This is a statement game to play a team like the Colorado Avalanche that's favored to win the Stanley Cup, if you will, and they sent a statement to them early.
Well, this was a ton of fun tonight.
Yeah,
Thanks for
really
letting me.
Bob.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Being back in a hockey booth after a long time was a ton of fun, and we'll be back next Tuesday night in Nashville when San Jose takes on the Predators. For Cassie Campbell-Pascal, I'm Bob Wischusen. The final once again, the Capitals 6, the Avalanche 3. By the way, Islanders-Blackhawks is currently over on ESPN as Hockey Night continues. So long from Washington.